In this video, we will be reviewing the EvoTrade EA MT5 by Ms. Dolores Martin Munoz. Stick around to the end to see if this is a real bot worth your time or just another MQL5 scam. This video is sponsored by Prosperity Algo and our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Do you want to make 100+% annual returns through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout? Then click the link in the description. So this bot seems to be part of the MQL5 bot group, which places a huge emphasis on just name dropping every AI model currently in vogue. And here we can see that they're speaking about long short-term memories that use GRUs, convolutional neural nets, using deep Q-learning, and proximal policy optimization. So really a whole basket of different strategies which use supposedly computer vision and data analysis to make trading decisions. You can apply some of these models for sure in an expert advisor. LSTMs are relatively straightforward to code. The actual math behind them are pretty basic, or you can even just use a pre-built Python package as a script, or you can save a model in Python and then use it in the actual expert advisor. But unfortunately, the other things here like deep Q learning or proximal policy optimization, I'm not even so sure if it's possible to use those in MQL5, and the actual technologies behind them are incredibly cutting edge. So the odds that all of these models are being used simultaneously in this bot are likely quite low. So it's interesting that she's name dropping all of these things, but I wouldn't be super optimistic that they're actually being used. Moreover, she's mentioning that it uses, along with all of these models, also natural language processing, but the only way to actually use like complex LLMs, it's like a GPT or BERT, etc., is to have some sort of API key so that you're able to actually go and like toggle and query the LLM. But unfortunately, she does not appear to be using that here. So also kind of another big red flag that we're not quite sure how she's actually using these strategies in her bot. And here as well, like another fantastic thing saying that unfortunately, this bot is not representative of the backtest and the live performance are supposedly not representative. So she's saying here like, hey, don't trust the backtest because all of the ultra advanced deep learning algorithms can only be viewed when you're actually making more of a live trade or in a live market environment. A few things to note here is you actually can backtest locally stored AI models. So if you were to train for instance, an LSTM or a tree or a decision tree, you can actually backtest that. The one thing that is very challenging to backtest are when you try and actually run backtests with ChatGPT or with some sort of large language model, just because you typically can't do web requests from the MQL5 strategy tester. So you need to find some more creative ways to do this. Something which I have found is that if you're perhaps wanting to do this, you can simply backtest using Python or using some sort of script where you're able to effectively like create your own backtesting engine so that you're able to query the large language model through a loop or through some sort of Jupyter notebook. That can work, but this is still a bit fishy because she's essentially trying to justify that you can't backtest it properly. However, most of the things that she's mentioning here, you should be able to backtest. So that's also kind of a bit odd. And then she's also mentioning that there's self-learning neural networks and dynamic risk management, etc. But from what I can see so far, it's really not a great sign, right? Because they're mentioning a bunch of things which are likely not actually being used. And that doesn't necessarily speak well to the transparency here. We are seeing that they are running some good portfolio analyses. This looks like Strategy Tester, which is a very good tool, but ultimately we can't glean too much from this page. It's mostly just the classic MQL5 Wikipedia copy and paste of AI models. That being said, AI is a great tool for bot development and for making trades and portfolio management, but I'm not so sure if she's actually using that here. Now, if we go over to the live signal page, we're seeing like a fantastic live signal, 500% returns. One thing to note is this is also a well-trade signal, and they have a history of being a bit on the sketchy side. And we've only seen 22 trades so far, with a 100% win rate. So even if this was not a manipulated signal, the fact that they've only run so few trades is not really statistically significant. It could very well be that they ran 30 trades, they went through their MT5 history and they deleted the bad trades. That's a pretty viable explanation to how this happened, but I wouldn't necessarily put too much weight into it. But what I'm curious about is if we can actually glean the strategy, because I took the liberty of downloading this and running a quick back test, and it's supposedly almost done, but it's been exceptionally slow. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait a few more seconds to see if it finishes, but let me pause the video and I'll be back shortly once I can see how the final chart looks. Okay, so I am now back and we can see that the graph has finalized and we have the list of trades in front of us right here for the EvoTrade. And from what we can see, it turned in this backtest $3,200 into roughly $1.4 million. And this was using every ticks based on real ticks from the 8-cap broker. Obviously, this is rather impossible, right? So here we have a 98% win rate. And yes, we do have an inverted risk reward, but even with this level of risk reward inversion, we would still expect to see a significantly lower win rate. So it looks very much too good to be true. And here it appears to be entering almost without any sort of rhyme or reason. Sometimes you're going pro trend, sometimes you're going counter trend, and it's just opening up these pseudo-random clusters of trades at different times of the day. And perhaps if we zoom in here on a lower time frame, we can see a little bit more of what actual approach it's taking. They look to be more mean reverting in nature. So a lot of these systems will use a very basic Bollinger Band or some sort of oscillator, simply because it makes it a lot more easy to code. It isn't particularly challenging to put in place. So I would venture that that's what's happening here. But unfortunately, from what I can see so far, there's really not much of a strategy here. And anytime you see these magical backtests, which turn 3,200 into in the millions, and at the same time, the entire sales page is just like only leaning on all these AI models, many of which are so sophisticated that many of the top quant funds in the world don't even use them. That's not really a fantastic sign. So from what I can see so far, guys, this is definitely not definitely, you never know for certain, but it appears to be a scam bot. I would stay away. There's definitely a lot of better bots in the market. This is just a quick rug pull once again, and likely not the best place for your capital. However, if you have any different opinions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. So please let me know if you think of, if you see something else, or if you have a different point of feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, guys. Have a great day.